BRB UK. Worse teeth, better accents.
Hello, and indeed a welcome to BRB UK episode 622. I am Coleman. Hi.
Hi.
Dan's not here.
No.
He's stuck in a work meeting. He'll never return.
No.
He'll be stuck in it till next week. We'll see how we do then. We are very late because I too was stuck in a work meeting. We got a price fix all the petrol prices in all the different stations. So we can gouge the public as best as possible. Tim
yes,
is here.
I am.
Tim, say hello.
Okay. Hello. I would
Hello.
like to stomp all over a dirty, stinking lie from last week, please, as I listen to the
Okay.
podcast. Unlike Dan. I
Oh,
can
what
come
when
back
you were
and say
watching
things.
Tottenham Hotspur
When he says,
with a VR headset on?
I was absolutely not. It shows how much attention Dan pays to football because not many Spurs fans want to watch Spurs this season. It's a grueling prospect, and I'm not paying anyone any money to pay to watch them this season. So I made that decision ahead of the season, and that was a wise decision.
Well, if you weren't watching them last week, Tim,
Yep.
then care to explain this? I was rooting through your bins as I tend to do, and I
Right.
found this Tottenham T-shirt that you can't see because of the green
Can't
screen.
see. Yeah, see, it doesn't exist because you can't see it. You can't see me. Or
Explain
Spurs.
yourself, Hibbs.
Yeah. Well, basically, I was the one stuck at work last week for a bit. I got home a bit late, and then I went out and played cards with people that I like, rather than coming and speaking about video games with people that I don't.
Human people?
Yeah,
Would you say you
there's not
played
many
cards
other types
against
of people available, Coleman. Really,
humanity?
humanity. Oh,
I mean, you could
Oh,
be
the
playing poker
humanity.
with dogs, like that picture.
oh, yep. I mean, that's
Yeah.
mainly poker though. They can't play Star Wars Unlimited, as far as I've found out.
I don't know much about.
If you have a
art, but I know
dog that
what
can
I
play
like.
Star Wars Unlimited, let me know. My cat's been useless at it. So
I love Star Wars Unlimited. Very good. It's all gone weird and off the rails already.
Oh,
Shall we talk
yeah,
about
that's
some
good.
dang video games? But before we
Let's
get
do
into
that.
them, the What We
Mhm.
Done Played. Tim, if you did
Yes.
listen to the last week's show,
uh-huh.
you may have noticed that I made somewhat of a prediction that maybe Herman Hulst's job may be in trouble as the CEO
Yep.
of PlayStation.
Mhm.
And because he's been making some lofty purchases, he's been putting some money in some different areas, and not much of it has paid off at all. And he
Cornish
seems to have
pasties?
quite the love boner for the Horizon series of games, which I know is because he's from Guerrilla Games and
Can
they
you
made
not
the
say
game.
love boner when I'm taking a drink, please, Coleman? You need to kill me.
I will always say love boner when you're taking a drink. But trying to expand it into like the kiddie game of Lego and the VR game and the TV animated show and
So
the
you're
MMO
trying to
and
expand
the
your love
movie.
boner into a kiddie game. That's not good, Coleman.
I mean, Herman Hulst, he's quite into Horizon. He's
Yes.
putting his main
Horizon obsessed,
his
you may
main
say.
yeah, he's putting his main focuses into Horizon, and he's putting his main focus. Well, he was putting his main focus
Mhm.
into Concord, and one of those didn't pan out too well.
Yeah.
And I'm not seeing much of the side stuff.
I don't
with
think
Horizon going
Concord was
that
on his
greatly.
watch, though, no? Wasn't that more his predecessor?
Jim Ryan.
Yeah, partly why Jim
well,
Ryan
that's
went
another
because of all
thing.
that. Yeah.
Because it's been in development so long, a lot of people
Yeah.
are quick to go, "Hey, did you know that it was actually in development before Jim Ryan and before Herman Hulst?"
Not Jim's
I
fault.
was like, yes. They displayed a demo to PlayStation, who then bought the studio and funneled how much? $200 million into the game. So you can put it on their watch.
In that case, Jim.
But
won't fix
anyway.
it. But anyway, yeah.
Herman Hulst, he has he's not been fired. He's had a demotion of sorts. So Hideki Nishino, who was the co-CEO of Herman Hulst, he's now taken the sole CEO. Co-CEO. He's taken the sole CEO position.
Right.
And Herman Hulst, he has taken, he's now like the boss of PlayStation Studios. So he's going to be in charge of touring around the PlayStation Studios and seeing how games are up to, how they're shaping up, like what their
Right.
budgets are like,
Just
how
keeping
things
everyone in
are
line.
generally going. Yes. What this means for the future of PlayStation, not sure. Hideki is reportedly he's a bit more of a stats man than a kind of in front of the camera guy. So he likes things working on order. He likes things working exactly as he plans. We'll see how that goes.
See, that sounds right. They definitely need to be traveling in a slightly different direction than we've seen them do in the last few years. I thought that's why Herman Hulst has been put in charge, kind of thing. But as I say, like, he hasn't really gone. But this doesn't sound like someone that's going to do what I think they need to do at the moment, and is going to be taking like innovative leaps in new directions and doing new and interesting things. And that doesn't sound like the man for it. If he's like stats and things, then he likes things safe and things that you've seen projections.
You're going to see. Well, I mean, we've already had a period. I mean, under Herman Hulst, we've had a period of big plans behind the scenes to either make remakes to games that aren't really that old, to be fair, and don't really get that much of an improvement through the technical leaps and bounds of being stuck on the PS5, but also taking long-standing properties and turning them into live service games to make some extra money. So
yes, that wasn't a good plan.
I think maybe we do need to play it safe for a period of time and see how we go.
I mean, right, if that means getting back to making big single-player games, then fine. But it doesn't sound like it does. Like, that's not playing well in terms of, like, looking at the stats at the moment. It's not worth investing the amount of money they're doing in the big projects that I think that's where they need to, like, that's where they can differentiate themselves as, you need a PlayStation console to play these games. You need the headline acts to be doing that. And they're the people that really need to be nailing those things, because I'm not sure there will be as many third-party developers kind of going in that direction, basically. But yeah.
Well, we'll see how it goes. I wanted to put that at the top of the show because it was kind of it was one of those rare moments where I get to say I was right.
Coleman was right. It's been known to happen.
It happens every now and then. Broken clock and all that. What we do want to talk about, though, is the games we done played. And last week, at the time we were recording, we were going up against the Xbox Developer Direct. So we didn't get to talk about that. We'll try to talk about that in a moment. But one of the games that was announced was Ninja Gaiden 2 Black.
Yes.
Which we have both been playing, because that got shadow dropped as we were recording the podcast last week. And we've both been playing. And I don't know how familiar you were with, because I played Ninja Gaiden. I played Ninja Gaiden Black.
Okay.
For some reason, I don't know where it came from. I don't know who gave it to me, but I used to have a lot of Ninja Gaiden 2 promo merch.
Right.
From like various shows and things. Yeah, very like t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, like, you know, a knockoff Zippo lighter with Ninja Gaiden 2 written on it for some reason.
Right.
Never played the game. Never played it.
That happens, but yeah.
Yeah.
I was also, I never played it previously. I don't think I ever really played the series. I think at some point I either, like, a mate bought one round and I played a bit of it, or I played a demo of it, possibly, of like the original Ninja Gaiden. But as much as I'm a historical fan of Team Ninja, I've always kind of admired what they did, more from the kind of Dead or Alive side of things. And obviously,
and ninjas.
Ryu Hayabusa is a character in both games, and this was their kind of, Ninja Gaiden was originally their, like, take on a third person action game that kind of used one of those characters from that game in a third person action game. And I think I'm right in saying that Dead or Alive preceded the original Ninja Gaiden, if I remember correctly, and then they span
yes,
that
but
out.
also
Right.
Ninja Gaiden is it's a Nintendo game.
Yes, and yeah. But I mean, in terms of Team Ninja taking it on, I think that was the first. I don't know if they historically did things beforehand, but they talked in the developer presentation we'll talk about shortly. They talked about it being 20 years old, so I'm guessing the timeline works out there in terms of Team Ninja only being 20 years old. They couldn't have done the NES one. But yeah, like, it was a game that the friend that may have brought it around, and the person I'm thinking of, like, he absolutely loved the whole series and used to go on about it all the time. He used to go on about how brilliant it was, but scared me off a bit by going, but it's very unforgiving and quite hard. And I think at the time I just wasn't that interested in that style of game. And I think I've evolved to be more appreciative of it now, basically.
To take us back before, I remember before the days of Dark Souls and Demon Souls and Bloodborne and what have you, Ninja Gaiden was what people used to describe as a hard game.
Yes.
And I quite like this because jumping it's a lot of, I don't know about you, Tim, but I've noticed every time they announce a game that looks like a hack and slash that I go, oh, cool, I'm going to love this. And then it comes out and it's a Souls-like.
Yeah.
I've been quite happy playing this going, oh, I've missed hack and just, doesn't matter if it's hard or not, just like a pure hack and slash.
Yeah.
And this is that it's that kind of, you're running around, you're killing people, you're picking up power-ups, you're killing them in even more brutal ways. It's so good. And it's so slick.
Yes. And that's the thing. Like, I think even back in the day, this was considered like graphically, quite not necessarily top of the range, but quite graphically, well thought of. But it was the mechanics of the game that really kind of sold people on it, basically. And I think that stands out when playing this version as well. Like,
when we talk about like how the AA landscape kind of went away, this is what we'd refer to as a AA game, and it's a good one.
Yeah, I guess
would.
that's fair. Like, I don't think it's that far below a AAA game that you'd feel like that you shouldn't be paying full price for it, type of thing. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a cut price game or anything. And I think there's quite a lot of depth to the combat and the combat system. Like the fact that you just get different weapons and they all have slightly different combos. And that those combos kind of open up as you level up the weaponry. There's quite a lot of depth to the combat that I haven't seen yet because I haven't got too far in it. But from what I've seen so far and what I've opened up so far, it seems like there's a lot to kind of really get your teeth stuck into. And like this, the remake has been made in Unreal Engine 5, where I presume it was on a version of Unreal before. But it looks really good now, and I think like it's pretty gruesome in terms of like the decapitations and kind of dismembering that it goes through. And that's pretty good. But yeah, I remember, like as I said, I had a friend that particularly spoke highly about it, but I remember a lot of people speaking to it being a bit unforgiving. And I think the one thing that I think it falls down on slightly by modern standards in comparison to games of today is the fact that it feels a little bit cheap in some of the fact that the enemies will attack you from almost off camera, sometimes with range stuff, but sometimes there's like surprise attacks that kind of get a lot of range from behind you. And you have to be very aware of keeping the camera focused on all the enemies on screen at once. It does give you some tools to combat that as well, but it can feel a little bit like this is hard because it's hard to control. Even though it gives you good camera controls, it's hard to control the fact that you need to be viewing all the enemies at once and they can easily get in behind you. And also, they don't do what other games do where everyone patiently queues up, like in a Ubisoft game, where everyone forms an orderly queue and attacks you one by one. They very much like, you're in the middle of dealing with him. Yeah, fine. I'm going to stab you from behind while you're dealing with my friend over there, kind of thing. And as I said, it feels a little bit unforgiving, but I think, like, I don't know about you, I went in the normal mode, but this game doesn't have an easy mode. Normal is its kind of default setting, like, base, like...
Some
basic,
cool normal easy.
Biatch level. And yeah, you know me, I'm basic. I will go in on the normal, whatever it defines as normal, I'll generally stick to. But I could see me actually coming back to this. I don't know if it does a New Game Plus and you can use that to go back in and play on the hard level, or you just have to kind of reset and go again. But I could see me trying this game on a slightly harder setting because I don't know, you particularly, I thought so far the boss battles weren't particularly challenging, like, or as challenging as I thought they were going to be from the reputation of the game and playing it.
Yeah.
But the moment to moment when you're just battling hordes of enemies, that feels pretty challenging. Like, it's got this system where you get a bit of health that will be permanently taken away from you. Not permanently taken away from you, but taken away from you. You can only heal, but you get most of your health back after combat when you're out of combat. But it'll have a bit that gets taken away every time you actually kind of get hit. and that you can only heal by going to save points or finding health somewhere else. And then you've got healing items so you can do stuff with as well. But it feels like it's not too unfair in the moment, but it sets you a challenge for each combat arena where it's like, no, you have this much health to deal with these many enemies, and you won't get anything else unless you've got a couple of things in your back pocket that you've done through exploring. And it kind of feels like it rewards you for exploring the environment and finding those things as well, which is quite
good. Yeah. I'm really getting into this. The biggest challenge, like you say, is the kind of the mobs of enemies that overtake you, and it's quite easy to get stuck into a corner with a ridiculous amount of people, and suddenly the block dodge buttons become your friends.
Yes.
Because it's always like a really annoying one as well. You just miss that one person, and then they pin you down, and they go for the suicide moves. And
yes.
Yeah, I've been really enjoying it. I'm kind of on and off with this because I am playing Witcher 3 at the same time.
Right.
So I feel I keep dedicating myself to the big games, and I need to just sort of take a moment, rest my brain, hack and slash. That's what I like to do.
Yeah, I can see me dipping in and out of this one over the next, couple of weeks and trying to finish it. I could also see me going back and playing Ninja Gaiden now that I've like this as well. Like, is that still available on Game Pass? Is that a thing, or is that not a thing?
I don't know if it's on Game Pass.
If
I
not,
didn't
I might
look.
just seek it out elsewhere.
If not, I'm sure I've got a copy of Ninja Gaiden Black somewhere.
Okay, yeah, that'd be good.
Just the original
yeah, I've really
disc.
enjoyed it. To the point where it's made me very excited for an upcoming announcement that they made in the Developer Direct as well. So,
all right. Well, Ninja Gaiden Black, that is out now. It's on Xbox Series X, S. I think it's PC though. I didn't note it down, and PlayStation 5. Interestingly, if you want a boxed copy of the game, you can only get that on PlayStation 5.
Interesting.
Bit weird, isn't it?
I mean, why would you buy it on Xbox? Get it on Game Pass.
Well, it's $39.99, and it is, of course, while we're talking about it, it's available on Game Pass, so you can go play that now. That was a lovely surprise last week.
Yeah,
when I spotted that. Yeah, it was literally it was podcast with Dan, watch the showcase, go, oh. Ninja Gaiden Black 2 Shadow Drop, go do that, right? Set that to download. Write about the show.
Yeah,
do all the posts up on Big Red Barrel. Edit the podcast, and then I played like half an hour of the game and fell asleep, and then got back to it for the rest of the week. So I've been really enjoying that. Doesn't play that well on my phone though. I mean, it stutters a bit in my office. Yeah, Game Pass, isn't it?
I guess. One thing, peering behind the wizard's curtain a little bit. That's like kind of euphemism, but not naughty euphemism. But yeah, just generally, like I was going to play Arcanage for this week and report back on that because apparently that's very good. But with finances being what they are at the moment, me having a bit on my credit card from being on holiday, I decided to leave that till after the end of this month so that I can put that on next month's credit card bill. So I might report back on that next week. But yeah, Ninja Gaiden 2 Black filled the hole nicely when I was like, okay, I need something to talk about this week. But then I really enjoyed it, and I'm really glad I got the chance to play it, and that's why Game Pass is so good at the fact that I was just able to download it and play it. The only problem I had is finding room on my hard drive. But yeah, other than that, I'm really glad I played the game, and yeah, I now count myself as a fan of the series, and will explore it a bit more and play more of it. So yeah, that's good.
How is it on the S? I'm assuming all silky smooth and lovely.
Yeah. Looks the part.
Can imagine it's not that too intense of a game.
Well. No, it seems all right. I mean, obviously it's one where I don't know if it tones it down a bit, but it looks visually impressive enough from what I've played, and I haven't had any problems with playing it. So yeah, it seems fine on the S.
Cool. All right. Right. So as I mentioned, we were podcasting while the Xbox Developer Direct was on, so me and Dan couldn't talk about that at the time because we have a schedule to keep to. We won't go on about this too much, I think, because it has passed a week. This is usually like I kind of cut off the content for talking about, but it was quite exciting and I wanted to talk about it a little bit. So as we've alluded to, Ninja Gaiden 4 was the first game that was announced, coming out the fall of 2025, PC, Xbox Series X and S, and PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
However, and the other thing to mention, all the games that were revealed on the show are coming to Game Pass launch day. So
Good.
this made me very excited because I like the look of every game on the show.
Yeah, it's a good little schedule.
Yeah.
The one thing I thought was noteworthy on Ninja Gaiden 4, and I don't think it's noteworthy for a bad reason, but I thought it was a bit weird that Team Ninja seem to be involved in the development of it, but aren't seemingly the principal developers of the game.
No, it's Platinum Games, and that greatly excites me.
Yes. If you're going to farm it out to someone to make a good action hack and slash, they're the people to farm it out into, especially in Japan. So, like, I'm not upset about that. I think that's a marriage made in heaven. It just seems really weird that Team Ninja aren't making what is a headline Team Ninja game kind of thing. I mean, it's got Ninja in the title. Like, it's part of possibly like an influence of their name or an influence on them working on the series at least. And so yeah,
I mean, it's a co-development, isn't it?
Sorry,
they didn't say developed. No, I mean it's a co-development between Team Ninja and Platinum.
From the way they talked about it, they sounded like they were talking to them about it, but it was Platinum Games developing it, and I don't know. That's just how it came off in the presentation. They didn't necessarily state that, but it seemed like a game being made by Platinum Games that they were involved with, like, you know, giving advice and making sure it was true to the original kind of formula. But they are departing from that formula a bit, like 2 different ninjas and slightly different styles. But yeah, it looked interesting. I'm definitely keen to check it out now that I've enjoyed Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. But
yeah. Interesting bits to know. Like I said, new protagonist Yakumo, the female ninja of the Raven clan, and that makes the game woke automatically. However, Ryu will still be available to play as. He's just not the main character in the story of this game. And the other thing is, so they put down almost 10 years since the previous game. Now, I'm saying it's more than 10 years since the previous game because we don't like to include Ninja Gaiden Z Yukaiba because that game was arse. Yeah.
So how long has it been since Ninja Gaiden 3?
I think it might be like, I think it just over 10 years.
Okay.
I think Yaiba is 9 years. It means I've been with Big Red Barrel for 9 years. It was like one of my first assignments.
Okay.
Okay. And moving on, so that's Ninja Gaiden 4. They also shadow dropped Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, which we've just spoken about. Then it was Doom the Dark Ages, which unfortunately a bit of this got leaked out.
This was lost in the proceedings, but yeah.
Oh, sorry. Well, yeah, this got leaked out before the show with the release date and the gameplay, but still impressive nonetheless. Looks very, very fun. It's a prequel to Doom 2016, so newcomers can play this game before playing the other ones and not miss out on too much. And also, like I think it's for the first time since the sort of sequels that we don't talk about anymore, the PC sequels. It's an actual storyline that has cutscenes and like it's a thematic playing rather than sort of the optional stuff in the background of what's going on.
Not just a gravelly voice growling something between levels.
Yeah, basically. It looks more Wolfenstein-y in that approach, the way they've been with New Colossus and what have you. But coming May 15th, and again, that's Xbox Series X, S, PC, and PlayStation 5.
Which, it may make more sense to do this last because otherwise they're in date order. But still, I'm confused about some things here, Coleman. Maybe you can clear this up. From my understanding, this is a prequel, right? This kind of tells the origin story of the Doom
It's the Dark Ages.
Yes. And if we're in the Dark Ages, why is there medieval Gatling guns, admittedly on a cybernetic dragon? So it's possibly not the thing to worry about overall. But what?
Because it's from hell. There's things in hell that we don't have.
Hell develops weapons faster. Is that where Gatling guns came from?
You could play the game and try it. So isn't it a gun that fires bone fragments though? No,
that's a gun, but there's a Gatling, like double Gatling gun on the back of the dragon.
That's right.
I'm like, okay, that doesn't seem very Dark Agey, But anyway, but yeah. I mean, you got a shield, so that's a bit.
Oh, I've realised
arcadey.
I'm not playing gameplay again.
Oh yeah.
There you go. I did this last time.
Oh yeah. And I guess like he's got a bit of a mane going on, so that makes it look more medieval, I guess, somehow.
Got a big fur coat.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's been at the drift shop.
Yeah. And look, the shield looks like a cool mechanic and a cool weapon to have some fun with. Chainsaw
You can use a
shield
mace.
type thing. Looks cool. The way they talked about the open world looks cool as well. It looks interesting. I'm definitely interested. I don't know about you, like I liked Doom 2016. I kind of bounced off Doom Eternal because they like put a load of platforming in, and that wasn't for me. But they talked about this as being something where you stand and fight, not the first one being run and gun, the second one being jump and shoot, and this one being stand and fight. And that sounds like I'm going to prefer this. And I like, for me, like taking the pick of having Gatling guns on a dragon, that looks kind of cool. Like flying around on a dragon, who doesn't like that? And then there's the big mech thing to take control of. Again, big mechs, not very dark agey, but okay, I'm in. I want to see how that all fits together, but yeah.
I know Dan's put this on his ones to watch for the year, and I was kind of there with him. I was like, yeah, looks good. And then when I saw this, I was like, oh, okay, now I'm sharing your excitement. This does look really cool. Let's move on to South of Midnight, which is one I've had my eye on for a little while now. So this comes from the creators of We Happy Few, and We Happy Few was one that I really liked the aesthetic of, but when the game actually came out, I was like, eh.
Yeah, that seems to be most people's take on it as well, basically.
Yeah, and that's kind of I've been keeping an eye on this when they showed off the kind of stop motiony, the frame changing, slower frame rate on a higher frame rate setting, and I like that effect when it's used in some games, and just the overall look of this game in general has been something that has been exciting me, and I've been keeping an eye on it. But when we got the bigger gameplay reveal on this one, and it's mainly because it's going up against like the cryptozoids of America in the South, like big gators and things. The kind of, I'm assuming it's boss battles. It looks decidedly average in the combat for the little bit we see. However, that doesn't mean it's a bad thing.
No.
It could be an amazing story that I'm going to really love, and then every now and then just sort of run around a big alligator and throw barrels at it.
It's one of those things where it's got a kind of an interesting setting. It's got that kind of Mississippi voodoo kind of vibe to it. And I think it's a slightly more unusual setting than we don't see. I nearly put this on my ones to watch when we were doing that over Christmas. But I think Avowed took its place rather than this, just because I've got a bit more faith in those developers. Like Obsidian is someone that I've come to trust and go, okay, I prefer sci-fi to fantasy, but I trust those developers to make a fun game because they've delivered on their visions before. Whereas you said with We Happy Few, I'm a bit more wary of this developer. Like it could be a cool setting, but will it be a fun game that they deliver on? Basically, I'm hopeful, but a bit more apprehensive than I am with Avowed, in terms of will it be a fun game to play. And I was also influenced by the fact, I must say, that at the time we were putting those lists together, Avowed was getting some really good buzz from early hands-on reports, and we haven't really seen anyone talk about this. But as you said, I really like the visual style, and the world setting's a bit more interesting, but it is one I'll keep an eye on, and I hope will be good. And we'll probably play because of Game Pass, so that's in it another sort of feather in its bow.
I will tell you something about Avowed.
Feather in its cap.
Yes, that's coming out April the 8th, by the way, for PC and Xbox Series X and S. No PlayStation this time.
No PlayStation.
Although I can assume maybe it comes later because apparently Microsoft, they are the publisher of the year with the amount they've been selling on other platforms last year, and something like I think it was 65% of their sales was coming from PlayStation. Ooh. So it's worked out. It's worked out
Yeah,
for them.
but that kind of, it's not an entirely fair comparison when most of their gamers are gaming through Game Pass. No, there was
Yeah.
a few too many
No.
instances of the word game there, but yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say so. Oh, that's right. So I was putting in my pre-orders for a few games, and I was looking for Avowed and could not find it anywhere. And then I looked it up. I was like, oh, it's on Xbox. Oh, it's a Game Pass game, isn't it? So if I wasn't paying attention, I would have spent some money. If that was a multi-platform game, I would have accidentally bought it on PlayStation. Moving on to Clair, Obscur, Expedition 33, a silly name for what looks like a fantastic looking RPG.
Right. Like, I am intrigued, and again, I might end up playing it because of Game Pass. But I am slightly put off by a couple of things. And if Dan was here, he'd probably have insulted the French by now. But it's not the overt Frenchness of the presentation and people that were presenting the game that would have put me off, because I don't mind that. Unlike racist Dan, I can get away with those sort of things because he won't listen to the podcast, so he won't come back and defend himself next week. I challenge you to do so if you're listening to the podcast, Dan, because I don't think you will. Anyway, right. But yeah, like I think it looks intriguing and interesting. And I did used to like this type of game. I'm just not sure from having played Final Fantasy that I still do. Like, I'm not sure I care about... And I may change this when actually getting hands-on and trying the combat system, but I'm not sure I care about an active time combat, turn-based kind of system, because I don't like that. I like a turn-based system, or I like active combat. I haven't found one where they gel those two things together in a way that I am fully satisfied with. My concern.
What if?
Yeah.
This is one of the reasons why the South Park, the first South Park RPG, the Stick of Truth, is one of my favorite RPGs of all time. What if it is what is reporting to be quite short, like a 6 or 8 hour story?
That would help. But
we need RPGs for dads and old men.
I tell you my other concern, and less a concern because it's on Game Pass. But the name of this game does not help this game. Like I looked at this video before we did this presentation, like not only an hour before, and if you hadn't written it down in front of me, I couldn't tell you the name of this game.
When I've been referring to this, talking about it at work, I've referred to it as Expedition 33. I keep forgetting the name Clair.
That's
Obscur.
fine. They should have just gone with that. That would have been cool and intriguing. And you're like, what happened to the other 32 expeditions? And that would be cool.
I think it would be too close to what was that game that they were planning a big multimedia series, and then the first game came out and then they got rid of it.
Completely forgotten the name. I was going to write an article about that.
But isn't that like, it was like Project 7 or something like that? I think it's too similar to that.
Yeah, like I've forgotten what that's called, but Unknown 9 I think it was, and it remains
Unknown 9.
But Expedition 33, like, that's intriguing, and they've actually, like, as soon as you peel back the first layer of that, they've got an interesting explanation of like what the 32 other expeditions are. Like, that's instantly appealing. The Clair Obscura thing, I'm guessing it's so that they can build other things in that world other than, you know, the expedition type thing. But I don't know. Maybe that gets lost in translation, or maybe that means something better in French or comes across better. But in English, it's a very, very forgettable first bit of that title that makes the whole thing disappear from my brain for some reason. And that could be a me problem, but...
Well, I'll tell you what, Tim, I'm hoping you're wrong and it's like the best game. It ends up as like my best favorite game of the entire year. Who knows?
It could be great.
But this is coming... Yeah, this is coming to PC, Xbox Series X and S, and PlayStation 5 on April 24th. So you got a little bit of time in between South of Midnight and Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Hopefully in between that time, I'll be playing a Nintendo Switch 2 in preview. So we'll see.
Oh, you booked a preview hands-on thing?
I booked one, I got declined, but I got a chance to book a second one. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh.
On my
Did
birthday
they give you
as well.
Explanation of why you declined?
I don't know
not
because
young enough.
the first one went then Well, they just randomly pick it, and they went, "You have not been selected for this one." And I because I put my name, I was like waiting in the queue, and I was like putting in straight first thing, and then it was like, "Oh, it's not based on first come first serve." And then the second time I put in, it went, "This is based on first come first serve." So hopefully I've got it this time.
That's weird.
Yeah, because I've already booked the time off to go play it. We'll see. Okay, so that is the Xbox Developer Direct 2025. What was your standout? What were you looking forward to the most out of this lot, Tim? And you can't say Ninja Gaiden 2 Black because you got to play it already.
I think because it was the nicest surprise, and literally because I've gone and played Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, Ninja Gaiden 4 I think was the standout for me because it like the fact that it's a Platinum Games and Team Ninja, like however they're involved, like that's a nice combination. It's a game, it's a type of game that I like and I'm looking for more of because there's not as many. And I think that's two developers that I trust to put their heads together and come out with a good result. And also, just as I said, it was the nicest surprise of the lot because it wasn't one that we knew about going into the presentation.
I would have to go for Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I think that looks so fun. I am just the world, the design, the characters, and also my man crush Charlie Cox is a voice actor in this game. Yeah,
Daredevil himself.
Daredevil himself. New Daredevil.
I think overall though, really strong showing from Xbox. Shows that like just the first part of the year, considering that Ninja Gaiden 4's fall, I think they said, and I wouldn't be surprised if that slips a little bit. But just that Shadow Drop and Ninja Gaiden, here's 3 other really good games that are coming out in the early part of the year, and also Avowed's coming out before that as well. So I think that's a strong showing from Xbox early on, basically.
Yeah, I like the way they've done this. I know we don't have E3 anymore, but the summer games and all those kind of presentations, whenever Xbox are involved, and we've had the ones in the past where it's like they play their little stinger and they're like, the world's most powerful console, only on that. And then they show a bunch, exclusive, world exclusive. And then they show a bunch of third-party trailers and things on there and all that stuff. I like this approach. You go, okay, and if you were doing long form or if you were doing short form, you go, here's a bunch of games. By the way, they're all launching on Game Pass.
Yeah.
That's how you get hype for me because you've just shown me 4 amazing looking games and gone, by the way, they're all this year, they're all on Game Pass. Yeah. No what ifs, no Platinum are making a game that we're going to cancel 2 years into development and you bought a console just to play it, but you can't play it. Sorry, Coleman, I know you like dragons, but not for you. Nothing like that.
And I know they've talked about it before, but I am surprised that they didn't have at least a little, and remember that Avowed's coming out on this date and just have a little snippet of that as well. I'm surprised they didn't do that with this, but yeah.
I'm assuming they feel they've built enough hype for that already.
Yeah. Hopefully so.
Yeah, because they had a nice campaign of that at the end of the year with the previews and stuff. Very early previews for that game.
I guess Christmas want to get it out before that because otherwise it comes out early January. Not as many people are paying attention, maybe.
Anyway, that was exciting. And then this wasn't. So Ubisoft announced. So we spoke, I think you missed this show as well, Tim. A little while ago, we were talking about Ubisoft making some changes on the build up to Assassin's Creed. What's the next Assassin's Creed called? I keep forgetting the name of it. Shadows?
Shadows?
Yes, it's Shadows.
Assassin's Creed overshadowed by every other Ninja game that's coming out this year, yeah?
Yeah, and they seem to be stepping away from live service. They seem to be, they were talking about not doing the, hey, if you spend an X amount of money on this game extra, then you can play this game 2 days early. Yeah. All those kind of nickel and diming tricks that we've been seeing over the years. They seem to be stepping away from that to try and create some good faith with the customer base. And if you wanted to build some of that, especially with the European market, maybe don't shut down their studios. So, yeah. And also, there is a whole load of thing behind the scenes of Ubisoft. They're kind of, Tencent want them. They want 10%, but only if the Gilmore family can still be in charge. And Tencent could they can't just buy more shares to take it over because they have to ask Ubisoft first, and Ubisoft won't allow them because of Gilmore family. It's very weird situation over there. What's going on? There's a weird standoff to. Sorry, go on.
So I was going to say, there's also a rumor that they're trying to jettison themselves along with some of their bigger properties like Assassin's Creed and go be part of Tencent while leaving other people behind with like Rayman and a few games, and that being like a remaining shell of Ubisoft. I'm like, how does that work? Like, literally, like they're just trying to like get away and like, we don't want to fire you, but yeah, good luck and good night, and we're going to go over here with our new overlords, and I hope you don't drown instantly.
Just Michel Ancel sat on his own with Rayman going, but they came back to do this.
Yeah.
What has
I think
happened?
it was really funny if they did that split and the company they left behind to wither on the vine ends up out flourishing the Ubisoft that jettisons themselves, which I think could happen. And I think that would be real just desserts if it does happen. But yeah.
But there is some madness going on at the moment, but behind the scenes at Ubisoft, and then in front of the scenes. So there's 185 jobs that have been eliminated as part of what they call restructuring over at Ubisoft to reduce costs and focus on key projects, which I'm assuming means just reducing costs. Yeah. Layoffs, they've impacted Ubisoft Studios in the UK, which is specifically Leamington and Reflections, Leamington being shut down. Which, yeah, that is a shame. Which I saw a lot of like American commentary channels when they go, Leamington Spa, that sounds so British. And then they look it up and go, wow, that's beautiful. Why don't we have places like that? Yeah. Leamington Spa is lovely. Yeah. Dusseldorf and Stockholm, they've had some redundancies as well. Dusseldorf, I love the name. Maybe that's beautiful. We should look up that one. We'll do the American thing, but we'll do it to Stockholm instead.
Correctly, but anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, this seems to be focused on just the Europeans. Although last year we had a pretty big layoffs in the US, so it would make sense focusing elsewhere now.
Did Reflections do the original Driver? Am I remembering that correctly?
Could not tell you.
I feel like they did. They did something.
If only you had something with the power of a computer inside your pocket.
Yeah.
Or maybe a computer. Who knows? But yes, those affected, of course, we're not. We're on your side. We're not happy. And Leamington Spa is beautiful. If anything, go visit Leamington Spa today. Book yourself a trip. This is the Leamington Spa and Dusseldorf Tourism Board.
Basically. Not nice.
Yes. Speaking of people affected, EA is also doing some restructuring with BioWare, which I think we've seen the writing on the wall on this for quite some time. Especially when the last financial call for EA, they were talking about Dragon Age. How do I always forget the name? The Veilguard. That's a terrible name. Dragon Age: The Veilguard, which they have been doing a lot to say this game is successful, honest, by going, hey, it's top of the Steam sales. It's doing really, really well. And then when they were talking about it in their financial calls previously, they were saying how many people were playing it, not how many sales they had. Right. So people that could be borrowing the game, secondhand copies, all this. They weren't. It's the old adage of what do they call it? Shipping versus sales. Right, where they used to go, oh, we've had this many Wii U's shipped. Like, yes, but how many did you sell?
Yeah, you can ship all you like. Just going back to Ubisoft Reflections, because I have done my necessary research, as you. By the way, they're in lovely, beautiful Newcastle upon Tyne. Maybe not quite as
lovely.
Beautiful as Leamington Spa.
Way.
And they worked closely with Ubisoft Leamington, so that's possibly why they both got close.
That would make sense.
But they did work on the Driver series. They also worked on the Shadow of the Beast series, Destruction Derby series, Just Dance series. So hey, but I thought Just Dance was one of the major profitable things for Ubisoft.
Yes,
now,
but if you're, they were likely doing that as a support studio rather than
quite possibly,
main.
And the Tom Clancy series, which they've obviously seems to have retreated into the shadows recently as well. So that's a shame. But yeah, all things that like they're good properties that they should be making more games of rather than making 1 billion Assassin's Creed games every year. But anyway.
But the likeliness is they've gone from the Driver series like being the main focus for that and then gone on to support work down the line. So anywho, so back onto EA. Also, the Veilguard's director left the studio like a week previous before this news, and now they're talking about restructuring Bioware. They're trying to they've taken a lot of people out of Bioware and moved them into other areas of EA. They haven't spoken about redundancies just yet. But now they're focusing. They put out, which I thought was very fun. They put out this manager speak little presentation to say, "Hey, we're focusing on Mass Effect now, and we're restructuring, and we don't need all these people for just Mass Effect, so we're moving them around to EA." And I saw someone put that into a Chat GPT thing and went, "Remove all the manager speak." It's like, we're saving money. We're moving people around to save money. We're spending too much of it. We don't want to. It was quite funny.
I feel sorry for BioWare. The kind of writing was on the wall. I didn't like to be right about this because I love BioWare as a studio. As I frequently mention, I did go and visit them when they were making Dragon Age 2. I have a lot of affinity with that. I've been worried about them since the two, and I forget their names now, but the two doctors that were head of the studios, they've seemed to be a bit directionless since that point. And this makes me very worried about not only the future of like any Mass Effect game that's on the way, but the future of the studio in general. Like, and will we ever see an Anthem 2, Coleman?
No. And that's one of the funniest things as well. Funny as in weird, but Anthem. How much of an absolute S show was Anthem? It
so
did
much
not perform
promise,
well. Yeah, they put this huge roadmap to go, we're going to fix this game. And then about a month later went, all right, we're not. We're just going to leave it as it is. Don't worry. And all the reductions and all that kind of stuff with Anthem. We're not going to look up the price. That's Dan's thing.
It's like the Suicide Squad recently. Anytime they say, oh, yeah, we're going to fix it, it'll be fine. Like, I'm not taking your word for that because it's been burnt too many times on people going, oh, yeah, we'll fix it. And then, no, you don't fix it.
Yeah, I've only seen that roadmap work with Destiny 1. Not really much else, the roadmap idea. But then when a lot of people that played Dragon Age Veilguard, like serious fans who then went on to criticize the game, not just about like, the more political things that people are talking about, but the feel of the game, there's something very off about this game when compared to previous Dragon Age games. Yeah. It's because it was a live service game that at the very last minute they went, quickly retool this so it's not a live service game. Yeah. And you think they would have, after burning their fingers on Anthem, you think they'd learn their lesson, but no, still trying to make a live service game out of that. Weird.
And as I mentioned before, the dragons look rubbish compared to dragons we've seen in a lot of other games, and I don't understand.
All the character faces look very odd.
I think I didn't like the art style at all. And yeah, gameplay just didn't appeal to me either. So
no,
I'd love it to have been successful and me be wrong about that, but I didn't have much faith going in. So.
I have heard it described as group therapy, the video game, because you're basically the therapist to all the members of your team that have different problems, and you've got to solve their personal problems, and then you can take on the big bad together.
But
that's my understanding of Dragon Age.
That's not the origins, and I'll use the word origins deliberately, of Dragon Age. Like, that wasn't how it started. It started as a dark fantasy game, and that being like that. I don't understand how it evolved into what they evolved into, but anyway.
Still one of my favorite mods I've ever seen appear on Nexus. It was like Dragon Age the Veilguard, and I think it was day 2 of release. And went, remove all the purple from the game. There's so much purple.
Oh.
I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a try one day, or maybe I'll just go back and play Origins because I love Origins. I could play that game a lot. Even though it looked dated when that game came out, but I could still play. I love that game. Yeah. The other one, changes over at Sony. We spoke about Herman Hulst stepping down from CEO and being given a bit of a demotion. But also there's some other changes as well. For instance, they're going to remove the reliance on logging into the PlayStation Network on PC games, which is good because
sounds good.
That
that's very
will probably stop fans. That will probably stop fans downvoting their games into oblivion, which is probably better for them because people that aren't that well versed in the whole goings on of review bombing games and why people do it. you could go, oh, cool, this PlayStation game's available on Oh, that's got a really low score. I won't touch that.
Yeah.
You know?
To be fair, people review bomb because it works. It's an effective tactics against publishers putting BS things into their games that gamers don't like.
I mean, sometimes they do it for political reasons,
Yeah,
but
there's
also
sometimes bad reasons, but
moany reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, at least when they did it to Helldivers 2, they got a promise of a new cape, so that was good. A bad review cape. I like that. But the other one is, so I remember, this is how long this podcast's been going. I know we've reported on this 2 different versions now.
Right.
They are removing PlayStation 4 games from the PlayStation Plus monthly games lineup.
I forgot they were still there, but yeah.
Yeah. To be fair, they are usually games that have a PS5, PS4 equivalent. So it's been less noticeable recently. But yeah, there's that change up coming soon.
To be fair, most of the offerings have been less noticeable on PlayStation Plus. I think it's a bit pants these days. And I'm paying a premium for it because I forgot to unrenew the 99 quid level or whatever.
Oh, you fool.
I fool.
Mate, you're not getting in on that Suicide Squad. Not getting in on that Suicide Squad.
I've added it to my library. I'm not sure I'll ever bother to download it. Unless you and me want to do a suicide run.
Yeah. I'll tell you something. I was looking through my games to see what was in my library to play, and I noticed there was a PlayStation Plus game that I do want to play that's been sat in my library for a while. It Takes Two.
Okay, I'll play that with you.
I still haven't played it. Yeah. And they've got that new game coming out this year as well.
Yes, that I definitely will play with you because that looks really good.
Forgot the name of that
we
one.
only need one of us to buy it so that we can both play it together as well. So.
Oh, wait till it goes on PlayStation Plus. Because all of those games have come on PlayStation Plus now, except for the Brothers Tale of Two Sons remake. So we'll see. Is it Joseph Ferris?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
So dude that I won't quote, so you don't have to edit me.
Yeah, we like him. He's funny.
Yeah, he's a good fun guy.
So, last piece of news, and I thought I'd throw this in for you, Tim, even though I think this is going to be absolute arse as an end product.
Thanks.
But Deadline reports that one of the games that I know me and you are both a fan of, Beyond Two Souls, the rights have been purchased, and there is a new TV series adaptation in early development that is speared by Pageboy. Do you know Pageboy Productions?
No.
That is Elliot Page's production company.
Right, okay. That's okay then, I guess.
Yes.
It sounds odd that Elliot Page is still... The amount that fan of the show Ed goes on about how much Elliot Page doesn't like David Cage. It'd be weird that Elliot Page is still willing to work.
Hey, Ed's friend of the show.
Yes.
He contributes enough. We can't call him fan of the show.
I meant friend of the show. Anyway, yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
anyway, yes. As is often brought up every time people want to rag on David Cage, and rightfully so. There was the whole complaint from Elliot Page back when they were in Beyond Two Souls that there was the shower scene that there were sections of their body that was rendered that shouldn't have been rendered, and they had been assured that they hadn't. And there were some other issues with the mocap and like the grueling hours and things that have been mentioned as well. I don't. If they ever moan about it again, I'm going to think less because they're now getting involved in taking over production for a TV show of the game. But who knows? I'm assuming they've gone, hey, The Last of Us did really, really well as a TV show. And that character, you changed the design so they'd look more like me at one point in my life. So maybe if we just do that again, but for Beyond Two Souls, an infinitely less selling video game, maybe it will do better.
I liked the game at the time. There are other concerns with Quantic Dream and David Cage in general, and there are much more serious concerns than the one I'm about to bring up. Saying that slightly to one side at the moment, which is horrible to have to say, but anyway. But my concern is they are not the only studio that has said, we're making a Star Wars game, and then disappeared for years. Like, where is that Star Wars game, Mr. David Cage?
I was going to suggest
my Star Wars game?
Where's Star Wars Eclipse? We want Star Wars Eclipse. It looks like, well, we've only seen a pre-rendered trailer, but
Yeah.
where is it? We want more Star Wars. We want more Quantic. We want more. Sorry, I'll rephrase that. We want more good Star Wars, and me and Tim like Quantic Dreams games, so we'd like some of that, please.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and that
other Star
has
Wars
been
game that's being worked on by someone big. It's
Jeff Bridges.
No, the former Ubisoft woman headed up big projects. Isn't she doing it? I think. Anyway.
Oh, you mean Jeff Bridges?
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly. I mean, Coleman, well done.
Yeah, Jeff Bridges making a Star Wars game at last. Yeah, I will be interested to see if this goes ahead, because a lot of the times when I've predicted, I mean, there have been a lot of games that have been greenlit to be movies or TV shows that have gone nowhere. Splinter Cell, anyone? And there was a few others as well. I was trying to think of the other day. Oh, that was right. Sleeping Dogs. Remember they were making a Sleeping Dogs movie?
Oh, yeah.
That
never
went
make a
anywhere.
Sleeping Dogs game though, Coleman. That'd be good. Anyway.
Yeah. I think that was going to star Tony
years.
Jaa. That was cool. Yeah.
Before he disappeared. Yeah, I can't say I'm massively excited for Beyond Two Souls. Have you seen the thing the name's escaping me again, but the thing
Until
on Prime.
Dawn. Secret Level.
Yes. Have you watched that yet?
Yes.
I've only watched a few episodes, but I've liked what I've watched so far.
I watched the first half. They were releasing the second half after a certain point. I think that's now come out, and I haven't got to that bit yet.
Okay.
But I was quite disappointed because I watched the Pac-Man episode, and I was like, "That's really funny. I really like that." But then at the Game Awards, they went, "Oh, here's a weird reboot of Pac-Man that we're making as a video game." I'm like, "Oh, I thought it was like a wholly new take on that, but it turned out it was a video game that they were doing."
Okay, didn't know that.
Yeah.
I like the Sifu one. Dungeons and Dragons one was
Yes,
quite good as well.
Sifu was good. There's one, I forget the name of it, escapes me, but because it's one of Amazon Studios' games. So no one knows what it's called. But one of the MMOs, and it stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, which
haven't seen that yet.
Really funny episode. Arnie is a terrible voice actor, but it is funny.
I mean, it's never been his strength, to be fair.
Yeah. No, strength is his strength.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's why in the Mortal Kombat games, we've had Conan and we've had the Terminator, and they've both been sound-alikes.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, Beyond Two Souls TV show, who cares? I think is the end point of that.
Yeah, that's the
general. Who knows? Maybe it's great.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's great.
Probably not.
Shall we wrap up the show? I think we should. Good answer, Tim. So if you go over to a little known website called tpublic.com and then also put in /stores/BRB, you can find our merch store. We have Big Red Barrel merch. Over there, you got t-shirts based on things from Big Red Barrel, of video games in general, Big Red Barrel UK, and of course, Dan's one teenage appearance on Games World that used to play on Sky One, where he says "eating my dust."
Dan's face.
He loves to say you can buy his face. I like to think of it as you're buying his childhood embarrassment. And I keep forgetting. We got Jamie sent us a picture of him wearing the shirt, and I keep forgetting to clip that so I can stick it on the show.
Yes,
but I'll do that.
Share it. Do that.
Yeah, I've been kind of busy with site development behind the scenes, so I keep forgetting.
I have 2 designs to actually launch on the store and one to relaunch at some point, and then I want to do another one before I put them all up. But I haven't wanted to launch them because I'm a bit worried that 2 of them will possibly get banned quite quickly, and I want to buy them before they do, and I haven't been able to afford to buy them myself. So I will let you guys know when that's about to go live and when it's nearly there, because when it goes live, it might not be up for very long, so I might need to rush to purchase it. I like the 2 designs that I've come up with, but they may not remain on the store for very long.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think if they cancel it while you've bought it, they just cancel your order and refund you. So don't get your hopes up.
Not as far as I know. So far, whenever I've ordered one that's been banned, if you order it fairly quickly, you get the t-shirt, and then they might catch up with it.
Also, you shouldn't pre-announce your shirts because you have a tendency to get them pulled from copyright claims. So,
but that's what I'm saying. Yes, they may.
How's that Coleman shirt doing you?
Although I don't I don't understand why, and they don't really give you much explanation, so I can't adjust my strategy based just on them getting pulled because I don't know why they get pulled. There's other sites that have things that are worse rip-offs and are doing worse with it, and I don't know why my previous design.
Yeah,
got
just
pulled,
look at
so
QWERTY.
Yeah, exactly.
I love
like,
QWERTY,
practically
but
got a business model based on ripping designs off, and they're not paying license fees, so I don't know what's going on with that. So
they're quite clever because they'll go, okay, so this shirt is okay and it will stay in our stock and you can buy it whenever. And then the ones that get flagged, they just pull them away. But they usually like a temporary sale and then they keep them in the archive. And that's usually a lot of people's way around it. You temporary sale it. If you've got it there for a while, then it gets flagged. You just pull it down and go for the next one.
yeah.
I think their strategy is volume, just how many designs they have up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
and then
as I said,
because
I
a
don't
lot
know
of
why
it's
that works.
combined
I don't
stuff,
know why
it's
they got pulled
parody.
before, so I can't really adjust my thing.
Mm.
I might try if these ones get pulled again. I might try and contact them and go, "What's going on?" Because what?
Yeah.
How are these getting pulled? Well, other things on your site aren't, and my designs aren't any different. Anyway, but yeah, I will try and give people a heads up when they're going live. Just I'll try and do it on a Thursday, basically.
Something else you
Or
can give us a
Friday.
heads up on
Yes.
is what happens on a Tuesday, Tim?
Each and every Tuesday, we do an event called Tabletop Tuesday at the Loading Bar in Stoke, Newington. Most Tuesdays, and from next month, all Tuesdays, we have a feature game where if you play that feature game, you can win a copy of the game just by coming along on a Tuesday and trying the game out. As I alluded to there, this will be the last. This coming Tuesday is our social games night. That's the only only week of the month that we don't usually have a feature game. But this coming Tuesday will be the last Tuesday where that's the case. Just because I've got so many games, I'm going to work more into the equation. We will stick to having our social games night. That's where we usually play games of like Blood in the Clock Tower or some other big social game that everyone can join in on. But we'll also be having a feature game that's a bit quicker to play or fits in with that kind of aesthetic as well. So it might be a social deduction game where we get for that, particularly that Tuesday, or be a short social deduction type game or a shorter game that we can fit around doing that. And we'll also have a Star Wars Unlimited draft on the first Tuesday of every month. Again, a slight exception this week. We're pushing back the Star Wars draft for next week. There's some slight reasons for that. 2 reasons. One, that people are practicing for some upcoming events, and so we're pushing the draft back a week. A couple of people are missing, so we're pushing the draft back for them. But also, I can exclusively announce here, although there are some details on the site that will follow up tomorrow, but I'm launching a new thing for Tabletop Tuesday. It's a Star Wars Unlimited adjacent thing, but it's something called the Galaxy of Gosh Charity Challenge. I'm raising money for Great Ormond Street. It's something where I've got some prize support very generously supplied by Asmodee and GameGenic. They've supplied me some awesome prizes to give away, and we'll be doing it at Tabletop Tuesday and some other venues that I'll announce in the future as well. But generally what it is there'll be a challenge that I'll set. There's 6 challenges throughout 2025. The first one is called Jabba's Dungeon, is where I will have a Jabba deck, like where Jabba is my leader, and I have a deck. And the challenge is that you have to have a Han or Luke deck, and there's more details of exactly what that entails if that doesn't make sense to you on the site, and more details of the pricing. But we've got some awesome prizes to give away. 100% of the money we raise will be going to Great Ormond Street. It costs £5 to enter. The prizes will get better throughout the year as the challenges get a bit harder. But for the moment, the prize will be a Twilight of the Galaxy, Twilight of the what am I trying to say? Twilight of the Republic. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Booster pack, which is worth £5 in itself. The challenge is fairly easy, so you should probably get through. I'm expecting the majority of people to be successful. So basically, for a £5 donation, you get a £5 prize. You also get entered into a prize to win a thing. So for every challenge, there'll be a grand prize for that particular challenge. The grand prize for this challenge is a copy of Star Wars Bounty Hunters, which is a nice little card game. So that's a good prize just for that. There's also an overall grand prize for that you basically get entry to when you complete the 6 challenges throughout the year. And that grand prize is an awesome prize of a copy of Star Wars Imperial Assault, which is a massive, really big board game, a really good prize. You can actually see it on my shelf up there behind me. It's a game that I own myself. I'm going to tilt my camera up so you can actually see it. But it's a really big, really awesome game. One of the best Star Wars games, I think, ever, possibly until Star Wars Unlimited, which is possibly my favorite game of all time. Part of the reason I'm doing this, but I'm also looking to raise money for Great Ormond Street. If you can't make it to a Tabletop Tuesday event or any of the other events where I'll be running this, you are welcome to donate to my just charity thing. As I said, 100% of the money will be going to Great Ormond Street. So if listeners can't make it to any of those events, you're welcome to just contribute online. I'll be sharing some details of the Just Giving page that I'm using to raise money for this. And so we'll be able to do that in future as well. I haven't given Coleman a heads up on that yet. But there will be more details on bigredbarrel.com. And I'll share more details with Coleman so he can hopefully share them in the podcast in future episodes. But just announcing the fact that that's coming. No feature game this week, but I can announce next week's feature game. But I'll leave that till next week, or the week after's feature game. But there are details of that on bigredbarrel.com. If you want more details of the charity event, I was just saying, or Tabletop Tuesdays in general, they'll both be on bigredbarrel.com. The Tabletop Tuesday stuff is on the right-hand column. There's this thing called Tabletop Tuesday on there. Or you can search for Tabletop Tuesdays on meetup.com. Join the other over 2,200 members in our meetup group. Search for Tabletop Tuesday on meetup.com. Or just come along to Tabletop Tuesday every Tuesday at the Loading Bar in Stoke, Newington.
I'm going to condense all of that into a much easier, condensable piece of information, Tim.
Yes.
Tabletop Tuesday, the Loading Bar in Stoke, Newington. That's in London. More information on bigredbarrel.com and meetup.com. See how easy that was? Tim?
And
I've still got breath.
Some of the details.
Breath left over. I'm not gasping for it. If you've enjoyed this show, I mean, I think you've fallen asleep now, to be fair. It was quite a lot of talking in one hit from Tim. Big chunks of Tim today.
Yes. That's what happens.
The big chunk of Tim talking about Tim's Jabba night where he's naked with his fiancée chained to him.
The hell did you come from?
Big chunks of Tim.
Big chunks of
you can find more on bigredbarrel.com. Over there we have news, we have reviews, we have previews, we have everything you could possibly want on bigredbarrel.com, including podcasts. I've been busy. I've been doing stuff, and I'm making it so we can get more stuff on there quicker.
Yeah.
Tim, I've been busy.
You have been doing good works behind the scenes. People will appreciate that in future.
And in front, I wrote Xbox developer stuff.
You did.
I put up trailers, Tim.
Yes.
I've been busy. I've been busy, Tim. I've been working a full day, going home, slaving over a hot keyboard, sleeping for half an hour. It's been a busy time.
I appreciate you, Coleman.
Thank you. And you too can appreciate me by going to bigredbarrel.com and showing the love. Share it. Share with your friends. Share the podcast. We love you. Over there, you can find links to our social medias of various types. Go over there, click links, go different places. And they're also available in the show notes of this here episode. And also, you can join us on Discord, join in the chat, get in contact with us, give us questions, talk about your day, tell us what video games you're playing. Do what you want. That'd be great. I mean, within reason. Don't send your artist rendering of Tim as Jabba the Hutt with his fiancée chained to his neck.
Don't give people weird ideas. First,
definitely don't do that. You know, I get I've dabbled in the AI a little bit, Tim. Maybe I could work out something.
No, Coleman. I'm also disappointed that 1, you can't read the word aboard, and 2, that you're not wearing your pirate hat this evening.
I was trying to save the surprise of the pirate hat for when I cover the pirate game.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Hence, surprised him. Okay. That's your lot, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening. This has been BRB UK episode 622. Hopefully we've got Dan back next week. Maybe I'm off next week. Maybe I'm too busy to come on the show.
We'll do a little rotation.
Yeah, we like the old 2-person rotation. See how it goes. But until then, dear listeners, I have been Coleman.
I might have been Tim.
No one's been Dan. And until next time, dear listeners, dear viewers, however you choose to follow the format, Goodbye.
You and your ears are quite welcome for the podcasting goodness that you just heard. Why not roll on over to BigRedBarrel.com for more podcasts, news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, BigRedBarrel.com.
If anyone, by the way, was wondering why I just snorted into the mic, it was in response to the epic face planting going on the video that's showing it. And man, that's some good ragdoll physics. There's comedy ragdoll physics in there.
The thing is, it's got that addictive kind of nature of a mobile